AIMX campaigns can be very tricky, but if you use them properly, they are a very scalable setting and a very scalable campaign type, if you will. Nonetheless, whenever I audit new accounts, I see them being used the wrong way all the time. And in today's video, I want to show you what the common pitfalls are, how to use AIMX to your advantage, and how to make sure that it's actually this scalable campaign that can get you a ton of additional sales after you have tried search ads for a while without being able to really scale things forward. So let's get started right away. And what you can see here is one very, very small AIMX campaign that we're running for a client, and basically as a small little test where we're going for very top of funnel traffic, okay? And the first thing that you need to know about AIMX campaigns is that you have to get the settings perfectly right. So just a quick recap, you go into your search campaign, and here where it says AIMX for search, you can turn AIMX campaigns on. The first thing that you need to understand is that they work absolutely best when running, on target CPA or target ROAS. So if you just go with manual CPC, that's not at all what I recommend, because you are basically telling Google that you want it to give you the best traffic, but you're bidding manually, which of course means that Google is it's almost impossible that they give you the right traffic. And if you use manual CPC with AIMX, basically what happens is it will simply expand your reach, and this will not actually give you traffic that is likely to buy. So you turn AIMX on, and by default, you get both of these boxes ticked, okay? You have text customization and you have final URL expansion. Now, this is extremely important to get right. Final URL expansion is something that I do not recommend for the vast majority of advertisers, okay? So if you have a brand with a bunch of different categories, maybe a bunch of different products, final URL expansion will link people basically almost like a dynamic search ad that are searching for something that you might have in your store and send people to all kinds of pages on your site, okay? Now you can counter that if you say, for example, I have 20 pages that I want to send people to in this one campaign. But you can use URL exclusions to tell Google that there are certain pages that indeed you don't want to send people to. Your blog pages, your policy pages. Maybe you have certain products or product pages that are not optimized. You can add all of them here. You can even add them with rules, right? So you can say if the URL contains the word blogs or blog, then it should not be used by Google's sort of crawling algorithms. But I think it's usually safer most of the time to simply turn final URL expansion off in the first place, okay? Because whenever we have tried this, we were getting people, to all kinds of pages left and right. It makes reporting more difficult. And for the same reason that I don't recommend using final URL expansion in your Performance Max campaigns, which is a different topic, I don't recommend using them in your AIMX search campaigns. Now, text customization, on the other hand, is a different story. With text customization, basically you allow Google to fine-tune your AIMX search campaigns to your landing pages. And this can actually be quite powerful, because if someone searches something, right, and on your site, you highlight this exact feature or benefit. So I've been looking at this random jewelry brand right here just because it's a competitor of ours, right? And they show up all the time with our search campaigns. And let's say, for example, that you are looking for a 14K gold necklace, but you don't mention that in your static search ads, right? Because you thought it's probably not that important and you want to focus on gold pedal, chain necklace, or whatever it might be. So with Google's AIMX now, if you allow it to actually write ad copy by itself and customize text, it can literally, kind of like dynamic keyword insertion in traditional sort of search ads, right? It can go ahead and say, okay, this person searched for 14K, or maybe this person searched for, let's look for something else. Sustainable might be another example, right? Or it could be something like the size. You could talk about something else, integrated range of pedal shape links. So whatever features you might have on your site, in terms of bullet points, technical specifications, etc. Maybe we talk about the color, right? So white gold instead of gold. Google will go ahead and include those in the ad text. So of course, you can only put so many headlines into a search ad, But with AIMX and text customization, Google will look at the search query, then look at the landing page and think about, okay, what's actually relevant here? And in that sense, it's, in my opinion, somewhat superior to classic dynamic keyword insertion, because with dynamic keyword insertion, it will put whatever the user searches for into the ad headline. Even if you may not have this, product, even if this nuance isn't relevant, even though it's basically coming up with features that you don't have, but with customization of the ad text, it will actively look at your landing page and make sure that it's fully aligned. So basically using AI to optimize your text assets. And again, this can be a very, very powerful thing to do. So these are the two settings that you really need to look out for. The rest isn't that different to traditional, search campaigns. You can use traffic diversity, right? Where you basically tell Google, wait a second, you are allowed to have a ROAS tolerance. By the way, that's not only for AIMX campaigns, right? That's whenever you use auto bidding, TROAS, TCPA. You can use the smart bidding exploration where you tell Google you have a margin of 10% to play with, and if your target ROAS is 200%, with 10% tolerance, it will be able to go all the way down to like 180%. I didn't understand yet 100% what the measurable effect of that is versus just reducing your target in the first place. But I'm thinking that basically what happens is it tries to get the 200% that is set here, but it will, if necessary, be able to go down to 180. So what I'm thinking is the 200% is like the hard requirement, and the 10% tolerance is like, only if there is no other way to hit it. But this is something that you have to experiment with. We use it occasionally, this ROAS target tolerance, but normally we control it via the simple, campaign level or ad group level, TROAS and TCPA. The next thing that you need to know about AIMX is how to analyze it properly. And there's a reason that I use this very, very small campaign here with a total ad spend, that is very low as well, and just 356 clicks. So what many people do not know is that when you go into your search term report, right, you're probably very familiar with it, you can sort and filter by AIMX as a match type. So by default, match type shows like broad match, exact match, phrase match, close variance, etc. And AIMX will tell you, okay, this is an actual click that has been generated for you, or a person that visited your site because of AIMX matching. Okay, so AIMX matching means that it wasn't necessarily this exact keyword, but basically Google looking at the search query, at your landing page, the keywords that you specified generally, and then coming up with the fact that this person might actually be relevant. So in some sense, AIMX works very similar to broad match, but simply with more nuance, with AI basically included in this whole judgment of whether this person is relevant or not. And in that sense, it can sometimes work way more effectively than broad match. But the flip side of that is that very often it is extremely broad, right? Because Google looks at your landing page, oh, there are like a million things on your page about features, about benefits, maybe even similar products. I've seen cases where AIMX was referring to products that were not sold, like on this exact product page, but related products. And this is something that you have to be really careful about. So what I recommend is you get the campaign launched, you give it like 1 or 2 days of accumulating data, and if your budget isn't, tiny, like as I said in this campaign, $100 a day, that's pretty low, but at least it gives you some data, and you can immediately after 1 or 2 days look into your search term report, sort by AIMX, and compare, first of all, the relevance of the AIMX search queries with other search queries that were basically gathered through traditional phrase, exact, and broad match keywords. And you can also see and check whether they are generally going in the right direction and whether they are generally relevant, okay? And with this match type column that shows you AIMX, I'm pretty surprised actually that Google has been giving us this option basically since the advent of AIMX, so that for once has been quite the transparent thing to do. But this will allow you to understand, okay, should I go with AIMX? Because due to that setting, very often we were able to say, no, AIMX is not the right fit for this campaign, and we turned it off, right? Or we noticed, oh, wait, that's actually some pretty interesting keywords in there, and the performance is generally okay. In this particular campaign, not really, right? but it's something worth exploring. And then what you need to also know is how AIMX relates to the other sort of traditional ways of doing keywords and targeting using keywords in terms of volume. So at the very smallest end, you have like normal phrase and exact keywords. Typically, of course, exact being even smaller than phrase in terms of, or attracting even less volume than phrase because they're super specific. Next up, we have broad match, which basically up to quite recently was like the broadest type of targeting. And then we have AIMX, which is basically broad match on steroids, as I said, if you combine it. So if you have broad match keywords in a search campaign and then you also turn AIMX on, it's basically, you know, it can now target anything that has something just remotely to do with what you're selling and with what you have on your landing page. Of course, this isn't accurate here, right? It's not that AIMX gives you like 4 times as much traffic as broad. I'm just making an illustration here, but you get the idea. It's like basically exact, then phrase, then broad, and then AIMX. And now the question is, when should you use AIMX in the first place? And what's the whole point of it, right? Well, the main thing is, there are 2 main things I would say. The first is, if you want massive sort of customization for each and every search query, similar to old school dynamic keyword insertion headlines and descriptions, where someone types something in, Google looks at your landing page and finds the best ad copy for that search query. That's actually very powerful, and you know that from Performance Max already. The second is, if you really want to scale because you cannot come up with more keywords, or maybe even with broad match you kind of exhausted your volume. I've seen many cases where now turning on AIMX gave us more volume on, let's say, a search campaign that was already spending $700 a day profitably, but we couldn't scale it further. And then now we were able to spend, let's say, 1.1 thousand, right, in daily ad spend. So it's still a bit early to tell. We didn't spend more than a couple $10,000 on AIMX so far, maybe approaching 100K roughly, but certainly, you know, mid 5-figure ad spend amount, but not anywhere near, you know, the total many millions of shopping or the many millions of PMAX. So it's still a bit early, but so far everything seems that this is a campaign for scaling. This is a campaign for personalized customization, but you have to monitor it very closely. And if you do it, and if you make sure that you exclude and that you use negative keywords, etc., then it can work very well. Otherwise, there is the very high risk that it will just start, cost you a ton of money, and you will have to turn it off because the ROAS was terrible. Now, if you don't want to do all that and you say, hey, I don't want to pay attention to that all the time, I just want my Google Ads to scale, then I recommend that you check out our website, cartlift.co, where you can watch all kinds of case studies on how we do it, most likely also in a niche that you are operating in. And we can talk and have a free scale audit where I look at your account and I give you the exact roadmap and blueprint for what I do if I was you to scale your Google Ads account to the next level with a focus on cold traffic. Now, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this channel if you want to see more Google Ads and e-com content. And with that being said, I really look forward to see you in the next video again. Bye-bye.